Here today with Coach Mark Torres of the Paso Pebble Hills Spartans. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Well, one of the things I'm trying to do in these interviews is kind of point out how coaches wind up where they are, how they move around throughout their career. So if you don't mind, walk us through your coaching career.
Okay. I'm from El Paso. I graduated from Irvin High School. I was lucky to play for some of the coaches that I did in high school. I thought that they took a genuine interest in us as players, both on and off the field. So I knew at a really young age, probably my freshman year of high school, that if I wasn't playing or whenever I was done playing, I wanted to coach. And after I went to UTEP. I was a track guy at UTEP. I was a thrower, and my last 2 years, I I was a volunteer coach at my old high school, and that's how I kind of got my foot in the door. Leon Stewart, who was an assistant coach at the time I was playing, was then the head coach, and so he allowed me to just kind of hang around and learn kind of behind the scenes things on what coaches do. And um, I got my start there, and as soon as I graduated, he was able to hire me full time. So I was an assistant coach at Irvin High School. I coached track at Irvin for the first 5 years of my career, and then I was lucky to become defensive coordinator at Austin High School from years 9 to 11, and then I became the offensive coordinator at Franklin High School from 12 to 14. And we had a lot of success there. So that kind of led me to this position, which was a new school at the time. It was going to open the following fall of 15. So we had a really good season in 14 over there at Franklin, and I was able to land this position in the winter of 14-15, and I've been here ever since.
Now, you've mentioned the names of some of the coaches that you coached under that mentored you to put you where you are, and you've had a lot of success recently with coaches that have coached for you, moving on to head coaching positions. So, talk a little bit about that role of mentoring coaches that coach with you to prepare them for whatever's going to be next for them.
Yeah, I think that's something that you kind of learn and you experience yourself. And so I was really lucky when I went to, Irvin High School. Leon Stewart, he allowed me to coach. He was in his last year of coaching, and he spoke to me a lot about the behind the scenes things. And Cliff Olander became the head coach, who also coached me in high school. And again, because of that trust factor, I think that they allowed me to experiment, have a voice. They gave me a lot of opportunities, say so and whatnot. And when I became a coordinator at both the schools, Austin and Franklin, both of those head coaches, Ruben Batista at Austin and Darren Walker at Franklin, they gave me a lot of responsibility, but they allowed me to coach. They knew what my goals were, which was to be a head coach. And I think that when you communicate that well with the guys you work with, then it becomes different. Guys want to be head coach, so you talk to them about the things that you're experiencing. You bring them in when something happens, and you talk to them about how you're dealing with it. You kind of get their take on it, and then the lines of communication become a lot more open. And mentoring guys and how I was mentored is they kind of tell you, the kind of conversations you need to have with people who are important for your goals. You want to have clear communication with your administrators on campus. Those are things that, unless you have that conversation with your head football coach, you wouldn't really know. The athletic directors, how do you communicate with them? How do you communicate with parents? How do you communicate with the coaches that are on campus who don't coach football? How do you communicate with your trainers? How do you communicate with the vendors? How do you communicate with administrators from other campuses? Because you're gonna end up working for somebody you never thought you'd work for, whether they're an administrator or a school board member, et cetera. Those are the things that, if you don't have somebody sit you down and explain that to you, you might not ever get a job you're going for. And one of the very first things we talk about when we have our staff meetings in the fall is there's going to be new faces on your campus every year, and you've got to be a resource to everybody. You as a coach on our campus, you got to be a resource to the new teacher, the new administrator, the new counselor, the custodian, you name it. Because you really, in our profession, you don't know who's going to be calling the shots one day. You know, every superintendent started out as a teacher, and you have to know that, and someone has to tell you that. So I think that has really helped me growing up, and the staff that I have. Those clear lines of communication and an open door policy. You know, they can come in and ask me things whenever they want, and I will just tell them, you know, my personal experience. So I don't have anything to hide. I am a resource to everybody on my staff. I think that's important, and I've been lucky to have some really good mentors.
Now, a lot of fans from the outside, they see a football coach. You call that touchdown play coach. But there's a lot more to it than that. In fact, if you just follow someone's Twitter feed during the spring period, a lot of what you're doing is, you know, the coaches coming in from the colleges and you trying to get them to look at your kids and getting them to look at your kids and getting those kids opportunities. And some of those kids, you know, might have already finished playing football for you, but you're still working on trying to get them opportunities.
Yeah, that happened as recently as the last couple of weeks. You know, we had Division II New Mexico Highlands came in, and they happen to have as a school, they have some kind of contract with the Socorro Independent School District for tuition for any student based on their GPA. Okay, so that was introduced to me. We had a player who fit that profile, and you know, now all of a sudden they had scholarship money for him, and he was able to go on and accept that and sign with them last week. And so it's really never ending. And in the world of the transfer portal, that's going to happen more often because they have that May 1st deadline. So you're going to have schools that might, you know, lose kids after spring football in college, and people are going to need to fill their rosters. And I foresee that happening a lot more until, you know, they come up with new regulations based on transfer portal and that kind of stuff. So and we don't know what those will be, but I do believe that my job, like working with my coaches, is just to help them reach their goals. And if we have a kid who wants to play, you know, we as a coaching staff will do everything we can to try to help them find somewhere to play.
Now, you just recently had your spring game. You've been watching your kids that are going to be back play spring sports, and you've seen them hit each other in spring game. So far, what do you think you're going to look like in the fall?
Well, we're in a fortunate situation. You know, we have 14 starters back, 7 on offense, 7 on defense. 7 will be seniors, 7 will be juniors. So the way our spring ball went was kind of like our fall season ended. A lot of familiar faces were on the field and in positions that they're comfortable in and that they had success in. So spring ball for us was very good, and it was a blessing to us in more ways than one. Obviously, since last June, we've lost 3 really great coaches to head coaching jobs. You know, Chris Taylor to Andrus, Mike Pride to Coronado, and Ed Connor to Socorro. So it was not only a benefit for our players that there wasn't a whole lot of change up. It was a benefit for the 2 or 3 new coaches that came in, that these guys kind of understood what they were already doing, and they were able to pick up right where they left off. And so there wasn't a lot of heavy transition when it came to spring football. I think that our kids understand our way of doing things. I think that they believe in the way we do things, and you know, that's a big deal for us. And it just to kind of like a seamless transition in many ways.
Now, some of the specific kids you got coming back, you got Gael Ochoa. Tell us a little bit about Gael.
Yeah, he's He's the only quarterback that I've ever played in a varsity game as a freshman. And we've had, since going all the way back to even Irvin High School, we've had some really good quarterbacks. And I had three really good ones at Franklin. We had Cam Candelaria. He went to Colorado Mesa. We had Baylor Romney, who just finished up playing at BYU. And then we had Brandon Miller, who's up in Clark University playing. And then we came over to Pebble Hills, and our first real standout quarterback was Gael's older brother, Sebastian. And Sebastian started 2 years for us in the seasons 18 and 19. Very successful quarterback. And to have him still at home and the very similar players, but Gael being the younger brother in the same position, he's advanced because he was, as a 6th, 7th, 8th grader, he was living in that shadow of exactly what his older brother was doing, and now it's just his turn. A competitor in every sense of the word. He has a 94 plus GPA. He starts on our basketball team. He's been a varsity track guy since he was a freshman, and he had to. We even made him earn the job last fall. He's not afraid of competition, and he has a confidence about himself that, in my opinion, it comes from work ethic. He has a very strong work ethic. Both parents at home, they're very supportive, and he fits our system to the T. We try to mold or tailor our system to the players, and he has been the easiest quarterback to ever do that for, because he has a skill set to do exactly what we would like to do, which is make the defense defend the entire field, running and passing. And he gives us a chance to do that. I believe he probably ran for over 1,300 yards, threw for about 1,700, and late in the season put our team on his back. And for a young guy to do that as a sophomore, 6A Division I, I think that's saying a lot.
All right, Coach. Well, one more question before I let you go. Can you tell me one thing about you that most people probably don't know?
One thing about me most people probably don't know. Well, I can't say it's about being a brother, the middle child of three brothers that are all head coaches in Texas. I think that's a little more known now. Let me see. Something that most people would not know about me. Probably that I'm left-handed, left-footed, everything. I don't think that's something that's, I guess you would really have to know me to know that. Looking from the outside in, you wouldn't know somebody's left-handed, left-footed, etc. But I'm the only one out of the three of us, and both our parents, that is left-handed, left-footed, that kind of thing. So I was the backwards kid growing up in our household.
All right. Well, that means you can't use the hand-me-down baseball glove, right?
Never. No, none of that kind of stuff. And then our dad was a big baseball guy, and he's right-handed everything. So trying to teach me how to hit, trying to teach me how to throw, a little more difficult for him to do that.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck in the upcoming season.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thanks so much.